You're an 86-year-old woman named Margaret Oldroyd, settling into your favorite chair in your quiet home in Lyman, Utah. The television hums softly. Outside, the Red Rock Desert of Wayne County stretches silent under the March sky. It's just another ordinary evening. What if the last sound you ever hear isn't the wind through the juniper trees, but a single, unexpected movement behind you? That's where our story begins, not with shock but with a single haunting question. What broke here? On March 4, 2026, three women, Margaret Oldroyd, 86, Linda Dewey, 65, and her niece Natalie Graves, 34, lost their lives in two peaceful corners of rural Wayne County near Capitol Reef National Park. No one saw it coming. No grudges. No warnings. Just three lives intersecting with one young man who later told investigators it had to be done. Tonight, in this calm space together, we're not here to relive horror. We're here to understand. What did these women lose forever? What fractured in one 22-year-old's mind far from home? How did investigators piece together truth across 4 states in less than 24 hours? And most importantly, what safeguards exist now so this never happens near you? You walk into that house tonight, or you step onto that favorite hiking trail. What breaks first, your sense of safety or your heart? Stay with me, because the answers might surprise you. Wayne County, Utah, feels like a place time forgot in the best way. Population under 3,000. Tiny towns like Lyman, just 289 people, and Torrey sit tucked against stunning Red Rock canyons. People know their neighbors. Doors stay unlocked. Hiking trails are considered sanctuaries. Margaret Oldroyd had lived that life for 86 years. Friends described her as someone who never pretended to be anything but Margaret. She was the quiet heart of Lyman, beloved by everyone, the kind of woman the mayor later called near sainthood on earth. Her home was her world, simple, steady, filled with the routines that anchor small-town life. Linda Dewey, 65, was the opposite in the gentlest way. She was the heart of her family. Wife, mother, grandmother, daughter, sister. She had friends all over the world. Her smile could light up a room, and she loved deeply. That March week, she was sharing one of her favorite places on earth with her niece. Natalie Graves, 34, had come from Easthampton, Massachusetts for that visit. She was a dancer, deeply immersed in the arts community back home. She and her husband Taylor had met at the University of Utah and built 16 beautiful years together. Natalie saw the world through creative eyes. Hiking with her Aunt Linda in the Red Rock Desert wasn't just exercise. It was bonding, sanctuary, joy. These weren't women living on the edge. They were living the American dream in its quietest, purest form. Family, community, nature. Margaret in her cozy home. Linda and Natalie stepping onto the Coxcomb trailhead near Teasdale Road. Pink ribbons now flutter there in their memory, laughing about the beauty around them. Husbands waited at home, grandchildren somewhere, friends expecting calls, normal life, the kind you and I live every day. Then one young man from Blakesburg, Iowa, 22-year-old Ivan Miller, entered that world carrying his own quiet storm. We'll never know every detail of his journey before Utah, but public records show he had faced charges back home: burglary, theft, marijuana possession, and a weapons violation after breaking into a cabin at Lake Wapello State Park in December 2025. He was on pretrial release. Somehow, that path led him here, stranded after his truck hit an elk on February 28. He sold the damaged vehicle, stayed in local hotels. Then, for reasons we may never fully understand, he ended up sleeping in a shed on Margaret's property. 3 ordinary women, one young man far from home, apparently desperate to get back. What would you do if your world suddenly collided with someone else's breaking point? Let's walk through what happened, not for shock, but to see clearly how truth was rebuilt. Investigators later pieced it together from a confession, physical evidence, and technology that worked faster than anyone expected. On the afternoon of March 4, Miller allegedly waited inside Margaret Oldroyd's home in Lyman. She returned. She sat down to watch television. He stepped out from behind a door and in one irreversible moment ended her life. He took her Buick. He drove roughly 10 miles to the Coxcomb trailhead. There, he saw Linda Dewey and Natalie Graves returning to their white Subaru Outback. Two women enjoying a hike they had taken many times before, bonding, laughing, safe in a place they loved. In seconds, their world ended too. Miller later told authorities he approached them, took what he needed, keys, cards, and left their bodies in a dry creek bed nearby. He didn't know these women. No connection, no warning, just convenience, he allegedly said. He wanted a different car. He needed money to get back to Iowa. By 4:25 p.m., the husbands of Linda and Natalie arrived at the trailhead. They found what no one should ever have to discover. They called 911. That single call set everything in motion. Wayne County deputies and the Utah Highway Patrol responded. They noticed a suspicious Buick abandoned nearby. They traced its owner, Margaret Oldroyd, in Lyman. When they went to her home, they found her. 3 victims, 2 scenes. One unfolding nightmare in a county that rarely sees violence like this. Residents locked doors that night. Schools closed. People stood watch. The tight-knit community that once felt invincible now felt fragile. Meanwhile, Miller was already moving. He took the Subaru. He drove south through southern Utah into northern Arizona, across state lines into Colorado. He used one of the victims' credit cards for gas. He abandoned the Subaru in Pagosa Springs. But here, where the story turns from tragedy to quiet justice, technology and human determination close the gap in hours. A victim's key fob, automated license plate readers, footprints, a multi-agency manhunt spanning 4 states. Early on March 5, just before dawn, officers in Pagosa Springs found Miller. No struggle. He was taken into custody. In interviews, he confessed. He told investigators the killings had to be done, but that he did not like to do it. He said he needed the cars and money to get home after his truck was disabled. He admitted taking cards and identification. No grand conspiracy. No mental health diagnosis released publicly. Just a young man who, according to charging documents, crossed a line from desperation into the unimaginable. Now we sit with the hard questions our brand always asks. What broke in the perpetrator's mind? Public records show prior minor offenses and pre-trial release status. A truck accident left him stranded. Financial pressure mounted. Impulse overrode everything else. We may never know the full internal storm childhood. Isolation, untreated struggles. But the pattern is one we've seen before. Small cracks widening under stress until something shatters. What did the victims lose forever? Margaret lost her quiet golden years in the home she loved. Linda lost the chance to watch her grandchildren grow, to keep being the heart of her family. Natalie lost decades of art, dance, love with her husband, and the future she was building. 3 women who represented the best of small-town America: kindness, creativity, community, gone in moments no one saw coming. Their families now carry a grief we can only imagine. How did investigators rebuild truth, piece by piece? The confession, the tracking data, the physical evidence. In under 24 hours, a manhunt that could have stretched weeks ended because modern tools, license plate readers, vehicle telematics, met old-fashioned police work. Wayne County Sheriff's Office, Utah DPS, Colorado authorities, and the State Bureau of Investigation worked as one. You hear the door chime in a small-town store and suddenly wonder who just walked in. You step onto a trail you've hiked 100 times, and for the first time feel the vastness of the desert around you. That's the tension these families and this community now live with. But even in the darkest moments, something else emerged: resilience. Memorials grew at the trailhead, flowers, handwritten notes, rock cairns, pink ribbons fluttering in the wind. The community held wellness events. They began healing together. As of mid-March 2026, Ivan Miller faces 3 counts of aggravated murder in Utah's 6th District Court. The Wayne County prosecutor has announced he will seek the death penalty if convicted. Miller remains in custody in Colorado pending extradition. A confession and overwhelming evidence form the backbone of the case. Justice, in its deliberate way, is moving forward. But our focus stays on what matters most: the women who are no longer here and the community left behind. Margaret Oldroyd's family and neighbors remember a woman who lived authentically and gave quietly. Linda Dewey's family released a statement. "She was loved deeply and loved her family deeply. She was the heart of our family." Natalie's loved ones described her as someone who immersed herself in creativity and connection. Their loss ripples through grandchildren, spouses, friends, and an entire county. What safeguards exist now? This case showed both vulnerability and strength in rural America. Small towns rely on trust, and that trust was shattered. But the response was swift. Technology helped catch the suspect in hours instead of days. License plate readers, key fob tracking, coordinated multi-state alerts. Those tools saved time and likely prevented further harm. Communities are talking more openly about vigilance without fear. Neighbors checking on elderly residents. Hikers perhaps going in pairs or letting someone know their plans. Mental health resources for young people facing life's pressures, because early intervention might change a path before desperation turns deadly. Wayne County itself is healing through memorials and wellness events. Pink ribbons still flutter. Rock cairns mark love instead of loss. The community is choosing connection over isolation. Could this happen near you? The honest answer is yes. Violence can touch any place. But the safeguards we build together, technology, community watch, mental health support, simple awareness, make it far less likely. The story isn't just about what broke. It's about what can still be rebuilt. We opened with Margaret Oldroyd settling into her chair on an ordinary evening. We closed there too, but now with clearer eyes. 3 women gone. 1 community forever changed. A young man in custody facing the consequences of choices that had to be done. Yet what remains is the quiet strength we saw in the memorials, the family statements, the swift investigation. Healing is possible. Safeguards can grow stronger. If you were there that evening, if you walked that trail, what would you do differently now? Where are you watching from tonight? Maybe a small town just like Lyman or Torrey. Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about the safeguards that matter to you. If this story moved you to reflect on the people you love, hit that like button and subscribe to Quiet Crime Stories. We turn the hardest questions into thoughtful conversations, always victim first, always calm, always focused on what we can learn. Thank you for sitting with this one. Your time here means we keep telling these stories ethically and with care. Until next time, stay safe out there.